Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Welcome back, friend. Excited for today's episode. This one is different from any other episode I've ever done because we are going to talk about the physical body and how our physical body and our health and our strength and our fitness and our wellness influences our manifestations. And we're also going to talk about how you can use manifestation and mindset and the universal laws that we talk about on this podcast to also support your health and wellness and fitness goals. It's kind of a full circle, right? So I wanted to have an expert on, someone who I wholeheartedly trust and have personally worked with, which is the amazing Holly Perkins. Now, Holly is the person who helped me get comfortable going to the gym, strength training, learning what the heck I actually do once I'm at the gym, and really helped me learn how to become someone who is strong. Like I stepped into the identity of someone who is strong. I caught the bug 9 years ago whenever I started working with her and whenever I took her course, and it hasn't stopped since. Ever since then, movement has been a huge part of my journey. And like I said, a foundational piece of my manifestation practice. My intention is to move 6 days a week. And that has not stopped in the 9 years since I started working with her. So I'm so excited for this interview. Let me give you a formal bio of Holly. Holly Perkins is an established expert and thought leader in women's health issues. For over 30 years, Holly has educated and guided thousands of women through in-person and virtual practice. She is the author of Lift to Get Lean and an established expert in women's strength training with an emphasis on physical performance, nutrition, and mindset management. Holly holds a Bachelor of Science degree in exercise physiology and nutrition from the Pennsylvania State University, is a certified strength and conditioning specialist, and soon to be certified sports nutritionist. Her second book, Muscle and Bone, will be released early 2026. So without further ado, here is our interview. All right. Welcome, Holly Perkins. I'm so excited to have you here and to dive into a conversation that I know my audience is going to absolutely love, where we're going to talk about strength and fitness and becoming our healthiest selves ever, and how to bring some of the mindset and manifestation into what you are already genius at, which is the science behind it. And you understand women's bodies and women's hormones and all of that good stuff. So I'm so excited to bring like the science with the mindset and the manifestation and the identity work, and to dive into how we can become our hottest, healthiest, fittest selves ever at any age. So welcome, Holly. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to do this. And I got to be honest, it is my most favorite conversation, to be honest with you. I think one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about what I do, and I've stayed in the health and fitness industry for so long, is that I discovered at an early age, actually a very early age, that when I used my body the right way, my spirit was just so big. And I think that like through all the years, which has kept me so committed to this conversation, is seeing how like when my physical body is at its best, my life is at its best. And so I think that like what you and I teach is going to be such a juicy blend. And thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
100%, because it's so true. That is like we need the foundation first before we're, manifesting things. Like we need the foundation. We want the radiance and the health and the nervous system regulation. All of that is a foundation in which you can just thrive from there. So true. And I've noticed that in my own life, 100% making that shift. And I know you've witnessed me making that shift of really moving into health and focusing on it. And so we're going to talk about why it matters. But one of the things that I want to dive into is, in manifestation, we talk about what you focus on grows. And I remember back in the day, I used to focus on weight loss, right? I used to actually be overweight. And, in terms of my BMI, I was overweight. I had PCOS, and doctors had always told me you need to lose weight to manage your symptoms, to feel better, to balance your hormones, all the things. So my focus was always losing weight. And I could never lose weight. Like it was so hard. And if I did lose weight, I would gain it back and it never felt good. It always felt like this endless cycle of something that I just couldn't achieve. And when the focus shifted, it shifted a lot. And I know that's a big part of the work that you do with women is you focus on body composition instead of weight loss, right? And so from a manifestation perspective, why do you think that shift is transformational? And how have you seen as people have made that shift, that's impacted their health?
My gosh, that's such a loaded question. I love that we're starting with that. So I think what really jumped out at me in your story is this notion that when you kept focusing on weight loss, there was this cycle. And what you focus on grows. There is a truth that the human psyche doesn't want to lose anything. We don't want to lose anything. We don't want loss, right? It's threatening to our survival on some level. And so even just saying the words weight loss, there is this immediate stop because why would you want to lose anything? And if we go even bigger and look at the human survival, I'm really into human evolution. Now, anyone who knows it better than me, I'm not an expert, but I love human evolution. So upright Homo sapiens, which is our current species, has been around for, I think it's around 500,000 years. But what's crazier is that biped man, right, human on two legs, goes back 2 to 3 million years. So our body in this current form goes back millions and millions and millions of years. And that speaks to our ability to survive. And we do that through a process called homeostasis. Protect what you have. Protect everything that you have, your temperature, your breathing rate, your metabolism, your hunger, your sleep, everything. There is this complex system set to keep you where you are. And so when a person focuses on weight loss, on some deep level, whether it's science or spirituality, we don't want to lose anything. And so what I have found in my practice and with myself for sure is that when a woman shifts that focus to something good, something positive, something worthy of celebrating, something they're moving towards that makes them feel better, an improvement in their body composition, the building of muscle, the adding of muscle, the speeding up of your metabolism, it just automatically inspires a very different vibration, a very different experience, a different level of joy in the actions that bring about the result that you want. An improvement in your body composition can mean more muscle, less body fat. Sometimes it means a lower body weight as well, but the end result is better. And so simply focusing on that as a positive is such a game changer for people.
It's huge. Totally. And I noticed that myself. I think my focus was it was body composition. It was also feeling good. Like I focused on wanting to feel good. And I knew that if I exercised, I did my strength training, I did some of my cardio throughout the week, I was going to feel good. And there were certain foods that made me feel good. And when I made that shift, it was everything. And it wasn't that I stopped wanting to lose weight. There was still a part of me that was like, yeah, I would like to shed weight, but that wasn't the focus anymore. And the effect effect of it was weight loss, actually. Like I ended up losing 50 pounds by shifting my focus. So yeah, it's huge. And I love that that's the work that you do with people. It makes so much sense why that works. And you also talk about the difference between being thin and being strong and lean, right? So how does that identity shift change energy?
I would say it's a very similar concept. So when a person is working towards being thinner or smaller, there is this psychology about being less of what you are. And while it's possible to achieve an outcome where you are smaller, tighter, and leaner, getting there by focusing on building muscle, building your strength, and fortifying your metabolism is actually a faster process. And so I always help my clients focus on improving their lean muscle mass. And that can either be an increase in strength, which is not synonymous with an increase in size. Those are actually two different things. A lot of people think that if they get stronger, their muscles will be bigger, and it's actually not true. There is usually a correlation, but I know for myself, for years, I got stronger. My muscles never got bigger. And that can be a trade-off. It just depends on a person's goal. Now I actually want my muscles to be bigger, and I want to be stronger, of course. But when you go after that being stronger and or building muscle over being smaller and thinner, it again really changes the psychology towards being more, being better, performing better. And oh, by the way, when we look at the science and the research, as you improve your muscle, whether that is its strength or its volume, there's a multitude, a complex cascade of biology that improves. And so simply by improving your muscle, you improve how you think, you improve positive mental attitude, you improve gut health, you improve your ability to manage inflammation, you improve hormones, sleep. There's so many things that up-level when you focus on really fortifying your body first from the musculoskeletal system, and even more specifically, the muscular system. And so when we do that, what happens, it's so interesting. I see this with my clients all the time. When I can get them to do that for a number of months, they do end up smaller and thinner, but it's just like you said, they didn't focus on subtracting from the beginning. They focused on fortifying and amplifying and speeding up and improving, but the outcome was still the same, but the means to the end was joyful, right?
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. It's like a manifestation hack. It's like, there's
really
certain
is.
things that I always say this, like whenever you do that foundational work where you are taking care of yourself, you don't have to try so hard to think positive, or you don't have to try so hard to be in a good energy, because it is a circumstance that you shift that automatically shifts your energy. So I'm curious if you've seen that happening with people where they do the work on their body and their health and getting stronger, and it's impacted other areas of their life as an effect.
Absolutely. And again, I would say that is the biggest reason why I do what I do. My overall mission is to help women live better lives. I really believe that if the women of the world were happier and healthier, this world would be a better place. I really do, strongly.
And wealthier. We'll just add that in too.
Yes, absolutely. Right? Like such a better place. And so my conversation is to help her get there through physical health, right? To improve your life, be a bigger, better person in general. And this is my avenue. And there's a lot of avenues to getting there. I think that's the goal for most people. And so I often think of our mind, our spirit, our mental conversation, how we think, our psychology, as a separate and distinct aspect of our health as compared to our physical health. And while they're definitely they interplay, what I have found is for some women, not everybody, simply focusing on improving their mindset, their psychology, their self-talk gets them so far, for sure. And when we layer into that, working on their physical body, which does the same thing, it really brings about this natural improvement in how they think. And so for the people who struggle to just up-level their psychology, how they think about things, how they relate to the world, I have found that when they add this physical practice in by improving their physical health, that stuff all comes so much more naturally. Because we know when you move, when your physical activity is structured the right way, and I say that because one mistake I see a lot of women making is they think more is better when it comes to exercise. And so if someone's wanting to be more fit or to lose weight, they just start doing more without getting very specific about the protocol. And so I talk about that in a very specific way. But when you get that right, when you get your physical conditioning, your nutrition, and your health right, your biology improves your actual neurotransmitters, your gut health, the way that you think, and like I said, the way that you see the world. There is this really incredible just sort of symbiosis between when you feel physically strong, you tend to walk through the world differently. You tend to confront the world from a place of groundedness and personal strength.
When I leave the gym, I just remember when I started going to the gym for the first time, I was doing your program and I would go into the gym and I would do my strength on certain days. I would do my cardio. I would leave and I would feel like euphoric, right? It was just like a completely shift in energy. It's not always easy to get there, but I would always remember, how am I going to feel while I'm leaving? I want to have that feeling, right? And that was another part of my intention was my mental health. Like it helps mental health so much, just like you're talking about. And I want to dive a little bit further into some of the beliefs that keep people stuck around their health, because so many women, I mean, I talk to them every day. I was one of them, right? Feel so stuck in this area. This is one of the areas that I know a lot of women feel like I have been at this since I was 14 years old. It has been 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years that I have been stuck around this and I cannot figure it out. And some of them feel like I've tried everything and there's nothing that works. I am curious if you could speak to that person and maybe shed light on what some of the limiting beliefs might be. You already mentioned one, which is, I just need to do more, which of course, my people, that shows up in business too. Oh, if I just do more, I'm not doing enough. And like you said, that's actually not the key. So I'd love for you to speak to maybe some of the belief patterns that come up that keep people stuck and what the solution is.
Yeah. So powerful.
Big question for you, Holly.
Such a good question, really. And it really, what you just asked is everything. It's everything. Often people know what to do. So why don't you do it? Right? That's a piece of the puzzle. Now, I do want to say one thing that is very important. So I have been in the fitness and nutrition industry for 30 years in practice coaching people. And about 15 years ago, I started doing a lot more work in the media. And I found that my message was getting diluted when I was trying to talk to men and women. So I shift my entire conversation to women only. And something I want to say before I get to the limiting beliefs is that there is so much information out in the world right now about improving your health and or becoming more fit. There are a lot of thought leaders. There's a lot of legitimate bona fide experts. There are a lot of influencers who were expert with their own body, but they haven't necessarily been in coaching. And so one thing I want to say first to the person who has been at it since she was 14 and feels like she can't get to where she wants to be, it is very important that you're on the right protocols. And I say that because another big mistake I see in the world, especially with women, especially women over 30, is that they're often just doing the wrong protocol. And so if your physical conditioning programming and or your nutrition programming and or your cardio programming don't play nice together, some of it could just be your protocols aren't right. That's been my experience in coaching. Women come to me doing so much, trying so hard, taking 2 classes a day, eating low carb, and it was their protocol that wasn't working. And as soon as I changed the protocol, boom, everything changes. So I just wanted to say that because sometimes it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's honestly,
Totally.
a lot of times it's not your fault, especially when every day there's a new media message that's like, don't do this, do this, right?
As if it's one size fits all, right?
Exactly. As if it's binary and it's not.
Totally.
So there's that. Then when we talk about limiting beliefs, the thing that I've really been seeing lately that has been so transformational for my most successful clients, when a person is taking action towards improving their health, getting leaner, improving their body composition, when you're actually taking action, there is a tendency to think success is only when you arrive. Success is when I get to my target. Success is when the scale goes down, or I buy smaller pants, or whatever that end result is, because I do believe there needs to be a goal, right? There needs to be a specific goal. And so a big limiting belief and problem is thinking that you're not successful till you get there. When the truth is that is largely what's stopping people from getting there. You're not going to start a new program today and get there tomorrow. You're not going to get there in 3 days. You're not going to get there in 3 weeks. It might get you there in 6 weeks, and it might take you 18 months. It all depends. And so we can't define success based on the end. It has to be the celebration of the effort. And today, simply acknowledging and celebrating and making success be, I'm taking the actions. I'm following the program. I'm following the protocols. I'm putting in the effort, because the truth is, if you are putting in the effort today, you'll get there. I don't know when. It depends on where you're starting, and it depends on your protocol, but you'll get there if you're taking the actions. And so as soon as my clients get that, everything changes. And then, ironically or not, they get there a whole lot faster, right?
Yeah,
because they're celebrating along the way. And by the way, it makes the means to the end a lot more fun.
Yes, that is huge. I remember whenever I was doing this work and I shifted my belief, because it used to be focused on, I want to get there, I want to see progress. And you know how it is with health and fitness. It's like you don't see progress overnight. It does take time, and that's how it is. So I focused on 2 things, just like you're talking about. One, I shifted my beliefs. So I started believing I truly wholeheartedly don't care how long this takes. Even if it takes me the rest of my life, I'm going to get there eventually. I don't care how long it takes. So I would celebrate even the smallest, because it took me a long time to actually do it. But if there was a little bit of progress, I was counting it. So that's huge. And then it was just focusing on who I was becoming, because it was about being the person that was healthy versus being the person at X weight. And so it was like, it doesn't matter how long it takes, because I'm being healthy today. So, you're speaking our language, because this is all the work that we do around money, right? It's like, it's so similar, and around manifesting money or growing a business, it's really the same inner work, but you can bring all of that into your health and wellness and fitness journey. It's so big. I love it. I love it. So good.
I often say to people, just like what you pointed out, there are going to be stages between here and there. There has to be incremental progress, right? And so you don't go from 0 to 60. You go from 0 to 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 25. And so therefore, it really is about those little steps in between. If you just keep adding the progress in small increments, like you said, you will get there. And when we're talking physically, and I really believe it's the same with money. Certainly that has been my own money journey. I didn't go from like broke to being a millionaire like that. There are stages in between, right? And so with the physical body, that is really obvious and really true. And that to lose 50 pounds, you had to lose 5 pounds at some point. Then you had to lose 8 pounds at some point, and then you had to, right? And so it's like those things have to happen in between. And so once you accept that and know that, then it's like there's not this obsession with that final end result.
100%. Yeah. And I find that most of the things that I want and the goals that I have, my ego just wants it really fast, but it tends to take longer than I expect or think. And that's okay as long as you keep going. One of the things that I also have seen within myself in the past, and then I've seen other people doing this, is every time they get motivated to start something new, they go from 0 to 100 and want to keep that, right? Like 0 to 100 overnight. And their identity isn't there yet, right? It's like you said, their thermostat probably isn't set to 100. And so maybe that lasts a week or maybe that lasts 2 weeks and then they go right back to 0. Is there a way that you work with people or what you would recommend for people who are starting out and maybe have that patterning of getting excited and motivated about the goal and then they go all in, but then they burn themselves out? Any recommendations for that?
That's a big one. Yeah. And so again, I want to bring it back to with the physical human body that is on earth in the 3D, right? I do believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, but we are having a human experience. Like there is a physical exterior here that does live by the laws of physics and does live by the environment that we live in. And so one thing, again, going back to a mistake I see a lot of women make, especially the circumstance we're talking about, someone who gets excited, jumps in and goes 100 miles an hour like this, which is such a lovely feeling, by the way. I've done it a million times in different aspects of my life.
It's a dopamine hit. Yeah, totally.
It is. It feels so good to feel so charged up about something. It's the best. Totally. It is, but it's not going to last, sadly. Yeah. But when we're talking about the human physical body, and again, going back to humans' evolution and survival, your body actually doesn't like that. Going from 0 to 60 actually with the physical body slows your progress and causes too much of a shift in your homeostasis on a biological, medical science level that really what I have found is that it causes physical burnout, legitimate physical burnout. And I see it all the time when people jump in and they go hard. It's about 10 to 14 days later that all of a sudden they lose their motivation. And then they judge themselves for losing the motivation. They judge themselves negatively for not having discipline, or why was I so into it and now I'm not? And in my experience and in my conversation, that is a protective mechanism to homeostasis. Your body does not actually want to build muscle. That goes against your survival. Your body actually does not want to burn off body fat. That goes against your survival. And so when you jump in literally physically, not just with the emotional enthusiasm, but with the actual physical activity, if you jump in too hard, too much, too fast, too soon, the body literally backfires. And then you get biological stop signs that cause you to lose your motivation.
So it's not a willpower problem. Your body is literally like, stop it.
Your body is literally like, okay, you won't stop because of muscle soreness. You won't stop because you're tired. You won't stop because you're starving. All right, fine. I'm going to change your emotions. I'm going to change your attitude. I'm going to make you depressed today. I'm going to make you I just don't feel like going to the gym anymore. And I see it all the time with my clients where it's like, I lost my motivation. And I'm like, you probably need a few days of recovery, believe it or not. Or we need to scale back on the volume of effort on a physical level so that we meet the physical demand to where your homeostasis is currently. So that if here's your homeostasis, you're not going from here to here. We just need you to be like here to here this week, and then here to here next week, and then here to here, right? More gradual. And so that is really where I see the interplay between like psychology and biology. And I very much believe that if you can't psychologize yourself around those hurdles, take a look at your biology because there might be something that's influencing it.
So good. That's so powerful. And that was another shift that I made because I used to do that thing. And then I shifted my intention to my intention is just to move at least 6 days a week. So that even if I didn't feel like it or if I wasn't motivated, I was like, okay, 10-minute walk. That's it. That's literally it. That's the baseline. Like down the street with Millie, that's all I have to do. And oftentimes, of course, I would start the walk and then I would keep going. And that shifted things big time whenever I didn't try to just go all in so hard. And you're so great with that. So yeah, I appreciate that because I think it makes all the difference. So, a lot of women also are very intimidated by the gym. And I know, your work is you're in the gym, you're doing strength training, and it can feel intimidating to go in there. I remember whenever I used to go into LA Fitness and it was me and a bunch of dudes, and I was like, oh God, I feel uncomfortable. How do you help women overcome that? That fear of just like, I don't fit in here.
Yeah, that's huge. And that was huge for me in my younger years. And I will say that is a very big theme for women. It really is. So if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, me too, welcome to the club. That is a lot of women, first and foremost. So in the latter years, since of course, 2020 and during the COVID time, I have started creating more at-home programming. We had to in 2020. And also, I have a really incredible client who has worked with me for a number of years. And she is a typical, a classic introvert. She's a little shy. She's definitely introverted. And she really wanted to improve her fitness, really. And so when she came to me, we started her with workouts at home.
Yep.
And I knew she'd get the bug, right?
Yep.
So she started working out at home for like a year or two, I think. And as her fitness improved, I said, you're going to have to get some more dumbbells. You're going to have to get some more equipment. And that continued. And it got to the point where she was her fitness level was maxing out what she could do at home. And I was like, hey, have you ever thought about going into the gym? And for her, that was absolutely terrifying. So I held her hand, I motivated her, I inspired her, I helped her, and I just said, let's just try it. And so she tried it, and it was terrifying. She went to the section of the gym that was like, the women's only section. Some gyms still have these.
Oh, that's so
kind
cool.
of women's only. Yeah. A lot of gyms that are, how shall I say it, like mom and pop, older neighborhood gyms from like the 70s and 80s tend to have these women only rooms. Sadly, they tend to throw the light dumbbells and the equipment that doesn't get used by the men. They tend to throw it in there, which is like completely ridiculous, but whatever. She started there and built up her confidence. And then I said, hey, it'd be really great if you used the leg press machine. And I knew she needed to go out onto the gym floor to do that. So she ventured out into the scary gym floor with all of the men. Very slowly but surely, she got more confident. She got more comfortable. She started talking to people. And in the end, a very long story, maybe longer now, she is now using an Olympic barbell at the squat rack, squatting, doing a barbell back squat like a pro. When I saw her squat on video, I was like, What have we been doing for 3 years? Because you have the most gorgeous barbell back squat. Thank goodness she got braver and decided to venture into that scary, terrifying environment because she bought a bikini. She's starting to date again. She feels good about herself. It has been a massive personality shift. And
I love it.
I have the chills as I say that, because to me, that is what this is about. And by the way, that has nothing to do with going into the gym. So to answer your question very shortly, what I will say is you don't have to go to the gym. And there is so much to be gained from it. There are gonna be some jerky people in any gym. There just are, sadly.
In any place.
In any place, the mall, the grocery store. It's true.
Yep,
Humans, and I will say sadly, gyms do tend to be more populated by men, especially the free weight section. And that's still true. It is changing. And sadly, there is still a psychology where men feel it's their territory and you are going to have some jerks. But here's the thing. You deserve to be there as much as anyone else. And why on earth would you limit your potential for health? Why would you limit something you want for you? Why would you just put yourself at a disadvantage because of some other idea that you might have that someone might be thinking about you by going to the gym, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
totally.
yes, it's an uncomfortable environment and I wish I could take that away, but I promise as you go and as you navigate some of those people that aren't supportive, you're going to find the vast majority are positive, are supportive, because here's the thing. People who work out are nicer, happier. There's lower rates of depression. They're healthier. Ultimately, I believe that going into a public gym, it's like the best people. Those are my people because most of them are so happy to be there. Most of them are so happy you're there. Most of them want it for you too. And I honestly, like over the years, some of my most favorite people, some of my best friends were random people that I met at the gym, still to this day.
That's amazing.
I could continue, but I will not.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's just like anything. It just takes having the courage, right? We talk about this in manifestation a lot, where it's like, you're not going to get where you want to get without courage. You just have to have the courage to go do it, to feel uncomfortable the first couple times, to realize you're a total badass for doing it. And then take out the energy of, I'm a badass. I'm in the gym doing this. That's what I started doing. And I will tell you, just because most of my listeners are entrepreneurs, we are so solo, right? For the most part, we're at home. A lot of us are on Zoom. It is so nice to have a place to get out of the house and actually go and just have this big gym, to be around people. For me, who even as an introvert, it makes all the difference just being around humans too. So I used to be afraid of it, but that now I'm in a place 9 years later after we started working together where I absolutely love getting out. And I know that if I'm not feeling right, if I'm have low energy, like that's a place that's going to shift things really quickly. So good. I love that so much. And also, I want to just share one more positive thing around manifestation that I have found in terms of doing this work around building strength. Because I think when we do that work in turn, right, it's a lot of self-talk. Building strength is about how do you talk to yourself as you are doing hard things and, lifting heavy weights and getting up and going there. You have to learn how to have a relationship with yourself that serves this, right? And you have to learn about self-talk. And I have found that, we were talking about manifestation and health. I have found that doing this work around building my fitness has also translated in my life and business as well, because it's the same process, right? It's like, how do you talk to yourself as you're working through a funnel that's really hard? It's the same thing in the gym. And I actually really love to intentionally practice it there. Like when I'm holding a plank, what am I saying internally? And I remember I'll always have like trainers, or if I'm in yoga, people are like, geez, you're smiling. You look so happy doing this. I'm like, well, internally, not so much, but I'm practicing it, right?
Yeah.
Like I am practicing being happy in this. I am practicing talking positively to myself through it. And that practice for an hour or 45 minutes in the gym will translate into your life in such a powerful way. So I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Everything you want is on the other side of discomfort, right?
Yeah.
And I've always said that the more you can actually embrace the discomfort, whether it's the emotional, psychosocial discomfort of going into a gym or the physical discomfort of holding a plank for a long period of time, the more you can embrace that and literally breathe through it and just say, I'm okay in this uncomfortable moment, it's massively transformational. And I can think so many times when I was really working on actually getting my weight loads up. I was working towards a body weight barbell deadlift. And I remember thinking there's a moment in order for strength training and building muscle to be successful, you actually have to push the muscle beyond its current ability to create the stimulus, because the stimulus is what causes the muscle to change.
Yeah.
And there's a metaphor here. So
Yeah.
it's the hardship, the discomfort, the hard effort has to come as the stimulus for the muscle to rise up to it and confront it and work through it to actually change. And so in strength training, when you're really tackling, higher weight loads according to your ability, there's a moment where you'll actually physically slow down during your set, rep by rep by rep, to the point where you actually hit a sticking point. And so on a deadlift, it would be you get the weight off the floor and about halfway up, you can't move. You're stuck halfway up and you can't push through that sticking point, but you mentally don't want to give up. And it's at that moment that if you just hold it and you breathe and you have that self-talk, as you said, with yourself, and just say, I'm just going to keep trying and pulling and breathing and see what happens. You might be actually physically stuck for 10 seconds, maybe not that long, 5 to 10 seconds. But then if you breathe through it, you'll slowly inch out of it. And for the times that would happen to me, I'm like, wow, now that is a metaphor for life.
Mind over matter.
Yes, mind over matter. And also breathing literally during that discomfort, to just sit in it, be in it, and just say, what would happen if I just tried to keep going? And that to me is so applicable to an entrepreneur's life. So I'm an entrepreneur too. I've been in business for myself my entire career. So I see those parallels so much. And there are so many aspects of being an entrepreneur and being successful in business where that stimulus really does have to come at you. You have to really confront something difficult and learn to work through it. And that's how you up level as an entrepreneur as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So good. I love it. I love the parallels. And that is why I love working out, because I'm not someone who would consider myself athletic. I could shift my identity if I wanted to, but I love mindset work. I love mind over matter. I love manifestation, all this stuff so much. And I bring it into it. And that's what makes it fun for me. And I feel like my listeners will be very similar. So it's really amazing. So I want to ask you a little bit of a more personal question. I'm curious, Holly, how you said this is my avenue. Like you said, there's a lot of ways to manifest. There's a lot of ways to create. The body is my avenue. I'm so curious, how did it become that? Is this something you've always been fascinated by, into, or was there something that you just got inspired by?
Wow, that's such a good question. So at a very young age, 6th grade, my best friend at the time, her mom was sending her to the local YMCA to take dance aerobics classes. And she didn't want to go alone. She asked if I wanted to go, and I did. And it was the best. I found my place. I loved the music. I loved the movement. It was like I came alive. And so from a very young age, it was the only thing I knew that I was passionate and excited about. So when it came time to go to college, I'm in my 50s. So when I went to college, it was 1991, and the fitness industry really was more fringe. I mean, it was like meatheads at the gym. Most people would walk or jog or dance aerobics. That was about it. And so I remember my mom saying, like, what do you want to do? What do you want to study? And I'm like, I just want to exercise. I remember being like, I want to exercise. But that wasn't really a profession back then. Although there were a few universities, Pennsylvania State University was one of the best accredited 4-year degrees in exercise physiology. And I was like, so excited about it. And so I studied exercise physiology and nutrition. And here we are all these years later. But to answer your question more directly, I was always following my bliss. I just loved it. And I just always found those parallels in life. And it was the one thing that made life good. And so I think that for a lot of years, really probably up until I was about 40, so call it the first 20 years of my career, I was doing it because I loved it, because it was what I wanted to do, right? And then around 40, things really changed. And I realized that it had done so much for my life. At that point, I had a book published. I had been successful in business. I was working with all the major magazines. I was working with major celebrities. My career really became something big and real as a fitness expert. And that's when I realized like it had just done so much for my life. And I really then started to teach what I teach more from the perspective of helping you be happy and have a big life and be a better person. It's really not about getting into a bikini. It's not about your skinny jeans. I think that is absolutely valid. I think wanting to look better or be sexy in a bathing suit is 100% legitimate and valid. And to me, that's a byproduct of all the other stuff. And so when we focus on you just being the biggest, best, most energized version of you, you may or may not want the bikini still, right? And even if you do, that's awesome. But it really, to me, is something so much bigger. It really did become a mission, and it became less about me and more about like helping women, hopefully, get the bug like I did at a younger age.
Yes. And I have to thank you because you helped me get the bug. It was 9 years ago that I started your program, and I have not stopped training since. I got the bug. I love it. And so I mean, and here's the thing, you guys, I've known Holly for a long time. We haven't even scratched the surface on what she knows. The amount of, I mean, you're a wealth of knowledge on women's health. And like you said, women over their 30s. And it's just wonderful to work with someone who has true expertise, and you do. And so I know that a lot of people are going to want to follow you and read your book. And I know you also have a 3-day event coming up. It's a free event, right? So if you want to tell people about that, I think there's probably going to be a lot of people who are going to be interested in coming and learning more. So do you want to share a little bit about that?
I love that. The more, the merrier. So coming up very soon, I'm offering, as you said, a totally free 3-day live training. And it is specifically about muscle mastery. I'm going to be teaching you all the ins and outs of how to become more muscle, less fat, improve your body composition. What is body composition? How do we measure it? How do we actually improve body composition so that you can really master your muscle the way you want? Some women want more muscle. Some women just want to be stronger so they feel better, in alignment with the conversation that we've had today. Some people do want to lose weight. So it really is, it's a totally free 3-day training where I'm going to walk you through my methodology, which is 1 part strength training, 1 part nutrition, absolutely some parts mindset as well. But it's pulling the curtain back on my methodologies. I love to share as much information as I can for free. And this is one of the ways that I do it. And so I would love to have you join us. You can come to my website, hollyperkins.com. You can just Google that to find my website, /Jamie. And that's going to take you to the opt-in page where you can sign up. Like I said, totally free 3-day training. And it's incredible. This is the 4th time I've done a workshop like this, and they just keep getting better and better and better. The women that come to these walk away really having a firm understanding of why they haven't been successful yet and what needs to change in their current practices so they can get to where they want to be.
I love it. Yes, we'll definitely put this in the show notes too. I am going to have to come and just, upgrade what I already am doing and just learn anything new from you.
You've
so
done
appreciate
so
you.
great. I mean, it's really it's been so fun to watch your journey going back all these years. And a moment ago, you said, I wouldn't consider myself athletic. And that surprised me because
Really?
I would consider you athletic for real.
Thank you.
I see, I follow your stories. I follow you on Instagram and I know, and of course we have personal friends and a personal relationship. So like, I know how fit and active you are. And I would say you are athletic. And it's really been so fun to see you work through these different stages and be at the place where you are such an incredible example.
Thank you so much, Holly. I'm going to take on that new identity. It's just old to think that I'm not an athlete because I wasn't quote unquote good at certain sports growing up, but it's
neither was I. I was a cheerleader and dance aerobics. Right. But like, I do consider myself an athlete, even though, until last year, I didn't know the difference between football and basketball for the most part. Right. So it's like, you can still be athletic in whatever definition that is for you.
I love that. I love that. All right. And I hope you all join us for that. So excited that you have that coming up. And thank you so much for being here, Holly. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.